and this is contributing to bipolar. I have met 5 people in my travels who've been diagnosed with bipolar or schizophrenia and are medication-free and managing well. One of the problems is the behaviour is usually fairly unacceptable, and so the person is medicated. And when they're medicated, then it is very, very difficult to make the decisions that you've got to do to conquer such a thing. It's very, very important that the true remedies be implemented. That's the pure air, sunlight, not taking anything into the body that will harm it. Often people with bipolar partake of a lot of stimulants. That can be alcohol, it can be marijuana, it can be caffeine, refined sugar. They must all stop. Also, they must go to bed early, and often people with bipolar have trouble sleeping, and this is when they're not sleeping well, it does contribute to the problem. Exercise is vital. You can't overdo this one, keeping well hydrated, being on a plant-based diet, and also trusting God, trusting that God can help you to overcome this ailment. The third question is, what is Helicobacter pylori and can you conquer it? You certainly can conquer it. Helicobacter pylori is a bacteria that lives in everyone's gut. It's when it is out of control that it is considered a problem. So if the Helicobacter pylori is out of control, one would have to investigate why. Sometimes it's because the person is eating all day long. Sometimes it's because they're drinking with their meals. You see, if hydrochloric acid levels in the stomach were strong, that keeps the Helicobacter pylori certainly in its proper amount. So eating only at meal times, drinking between meals and not with meals can certainly help. Boosting hydrochloric acid is an important part. To boost hydrochloric acid, the person can take 1/4 teaspoon of cayenne pepper just before each meal, and that will certainly help to boost the hydrochloric acid and thus boost digestion and keep Helicobacter pylori under control. For ulcer pain, again, assessing the cause of ulcer pain. The ulcer pain can be caused by a few things. Stress certainly can contribute to ulcers, but there are a couple of herbs that coat, soothe and heal the lining of the gut. One is aloe vera, and I believe in Africa aloe vera is quite easy to get. So scooping the clear gel out of the inside of the leaf and even blending it up with a little water, maybe adding a mint leaf or some lemon juice to make it a little bit more palatable. Aloe vera contains a growth stimulant and it coats, soothes and heals the lining of the gut. I would suggest taking it before every meal and also taking a dose just before going to bed at night. And then it coats, soothes and heals the lining of the gut while sleeping. Important to address stress levels. Important to go on a very simple diet. Your cooked vegetables are probably the simplest. And little by little, as the gut heals, you can implement more foods. The fifth question is, what can one do for strep B in pregnancy? Unfortunately, women are told that if they don't take an antibiotic in pregnancy for strep B, the baby may die and the baby may be born blind. There's almost records of such a thing happening is almost non-existent. What can a lady do if she's been shown positive to strep B? Well, there are some natural antibiotics that she can use. She can use raw garlic. Take 3 raw cloves a day for a week. The other thing she can use is olive leaf extract. That's another natural antibiotic. And take 3 doses of that a day for a week. And that will help to bring it under control. Question number 6, what can a woman do for fibroids, for breast fibroadenomas, and also for heavy period pain? All of these are an indication of a hormonal imbalance. So the woman can watch my hormone lecture on YouTube where I talk about the Anna's Wild Yam Cream. The Anna's Wild Yam Cream is a cream that can be applied to the skin. The fat cells take it up and it stimulates the body to balance out the hormones. So balancing the hormones is important. I have a friend in Fiji who is a nutritional doctor, and she gets her ladies to go on green drinks 3 times a day. And she says that certainly will help with the balancing of the hormones. To help with the fibroids and the breast fibroadenomas, castor oil compresses can be applied. The castor oil penetrates very deep and can little by little break up these unnatural formations. The consistency is the key. So these must be done every day, every day, every day. It may take several months, but if you are consistent, you will get results. Question number 7. Are fermented soy foods like tofu, tempeh, and soy sauce nutritious? As long as they're organic, the tofu and the tempeh certainly are beneficial to the health. Unfortunately, today soy sauce is not the way it was originally when housewives were making it in their kitchens in Japan. A lot of soy sauces today are very high in refined salts, and also it is claimed they have excitotoxins in them. So you're far better to flavour your food with the healthy unrefined salts, fresh herbs, and good quality oils. Question number 8. Is maple syrup as healthy as honey? It is. It is. So whether the person uses maple syrup or honey, I guess much depends on the price and if you can access it in your area. How do you treat anemia? One of the main causes of anemia is low hydrochloric acid. The reason for this is that iron is bound up in food and it needs acid to free it from the food. And it's hydrochloric acid that does that. So once again, you can boost hydrochloric acid by keeping a break between meals, ideally 4 to 5 hours between each meal, not drinking with your meals because that will water down your hydrochloric acid, and taking 1/4 teaspoon of cayenne pepper in a little water just before the meal. That will help to boost your hydrochloric acid. Initially, if a lady is very anemic, she may need to take some iron tablets, and ideally she takes iron tablets that do have vitamin C in it. Some ladies are anemic because of heavy blood loss every month. That indicates a hormonal imbalance. So the hormones have to be balanced to remedy that problem. Are there any benefits to mushrooms? Yes, mushrooms are a great source of natural B12. But if someone has a yeast problem in their body or they are conquering cancer, they're best to leave mushrooms alone because of the fungal link with these 2 diseases. Is there an advantage comparing farm animals, eating farm animals compared to eating town animals? There certainly is an advantage, but there's an even more advantage over eating a plant-based diet. A plant-based diet is the superior diet. Number 12, while doing the high-intensity interval training, is there any harm by adding weights? No, there is no harm. Your body is your best guide. Obviously, if you overdo it, you might strain a muscle. So again, listen to your body as to what you can do. Does the amount of melanin in your skin affect sun exposure? It certainly does. I heard recently that my white skin can be called milky skin. I need to be careful of the sun. The darker the skin, the more sun you can endure, but the more sun you need to get your vitamin D levels. So the darker the skin, the more sun it can bear and the more sun that it needs. So please partake of the sun every day. How can a person get fresh air into their bedroom if when they open the window, they have mosquitoes buzzing around? Well, there's a very simple solution to that. It's called mosquito net. When I am in Fiji, they always give me a mosquito net to put over my bed so that I don't get mosquitoes. Question number 15. Does a mobile phone in the pocket affect the reproductive organs? It definitely does. The worst place for your laptop is on your lap. We're finding penile dysfunction, also prostate problems and low sperm count happening in males who put their laptop on their lap. Also girls, they find 47% of girls who had the laptop on their lap in their adolescent and teens, 43% are having miscarriages in their 30s. It's called the silent killer. We are electrical people. There's a spark of electricity in every cell in the body. And the electromagnetic field, the frequency that is coming out of mobile phones, iPads, computers, is different to the frequency that's in our body, and it causes a disruption. No wonder it's called the silent killer. Ideally, you do not put your phone in your pocket. Ideally, you keep it out of the body. What blood test should we take to determine mineral deficiencies? I don't have any blood tests. I can't even remember the last time I had a blood test. I don't take blood tests. I don't think there is a need to take blood tests. I think if a woman is bleeding heavily and she's very tired, she could take a blood test to determine if she's anemic. That is true. But then again, if she's very tired and she's got heavy blood loss, then she needs to be taking some iron tablets to supplement with that. At the same time, take steps to balance her hormones so she hasn't got that heavy blood loss. What preventative health tests can you take? Do you need to take regular tests? I don't think there's a need. I don't. But you can be assured that you are getting everything you need if you are eating organic foods and you are eating a balanced diet. 18. How can I know if I'm eating too much or too little? Your body will tell you. Your body will tell you. If you don't eat enough at breakfast, you will be hungry in a couple of hours. So if you're hungry in a couple of hours, maybe that's a sign that you need to eat a little bit more. Or maybe it's the type of food you're eating. There's 3 food groups that will keep the food in the stomach longer. That's fiber and protein and your good fats. So make sure that the meal has enough of that. If someone's eating too much food, the sign can be that they are overweight. If someone's not eating enough food, another sign can be that they are underweight. So your body will tell you. If you have lots of energy and your meal lasts you all the way to the next meal and you're the right weight, I would endeavor to say that you're eating the right amount. What can we do for B12? B12 is a misunderstood vitamin. It's actually not a vitamin, it's a bacteria. So you will find B12 in organically grown root vegetables. You will find B12 in the water in rainwater tanks. And B12 is bound up in an R protein in our food, and we need hydrochloric acid to release it. So if someone's got low hydrochloric acid, they may not be releasing the R protein that is bound up with B12, and then they will be unable to absorb it. In the stomach, the intrinsic factor is released, often called IF, intrinsic factor, and it's required to absorb the B12, which is absorbed in the last section, the ileum of the small intestine. So most people that have low B12 have low B12 because they're not eating enough organic root vegetables and they have an exhausted stomach. It doesn't have enough hydrochloric acid or intrinsic factor. So how can we boost it? Make sure you're eating 5 hours apart. Make sure you don't drink with your meals. And to boost your hydrochloric acid, you can take 1/4 teaspoon of cayenne pepper in a little water just before the meal. Now, isn't it interesting how important our hydrochloric acid is? I think that's 3 questions where we've covered the hydrochloric acid. What can you do for hot flushes? Hot flushes are an indication of a hormonal imbalance, so the person can watch my DVD on hormones and learn how they can balance their hormones. The question number 21, what supplements are needed in pregnancy? I didn't take any supplements in pregnancy. It is acknowledged now that folate is very important, but folate is found in all your dark green leafy vegetables. So as long as you're eating dark green leafy vegetables every day, you can be assured that you're getting adequate folate levels. I nearly said chapter and I nearly said verse, but it's question number 22. Question number 22, why is cow's milk unhealthy? Cow's milk's excellent milk for baby calves. But if you give the baby calf the milk that's in the supermarket, that baby calf will die. They pasteurize milk to kill any bacteria that may be in milk, but the problem is it also kills the vitamin C, and that newborn baby calf needs that. Cow's milk's very good milk for baby calves. I'm 5th generation Scottish descent. I've never been able to handle cow's milk. It obviously wasn't in my heritage. I do know in Africa that the Maasai have cow's milk. So because it's in their heritage, they can handle it a lot more than someone like me. Cow's milk is not the best milk today. And it's because of what they do to it. It's because a lot of the cows are given antibiotics, they're given drugs, they're eating grass that's not organic or healthy. When it's extracted, sometimes it's not in the cleanest environment, then it's pasteurized, then it's homogenized, and it is the #1 cause of eczema and asthma in children. What about cheese? Well, the fresh cheese like the feta cheese or the ricotta cheese, that's certainly much more digestible. But again, the problem is the cows that it's coming from. The cows are often unhealthy. They've been given drugs themselves. The conditions around it is not the best. So now we're looking at question number 23, I think we're up to. So question number 23. Yes, I've found question number 23. What is the best diet for kidney failure? The best diet for kidney failure is fruits and vegetables, legumes, whole grains. How can you reverse kidney failure? By going easy on the diet, by having fruits, vegetables, nuts, grains, legumes, by drinking adequate water, but not a lot of water at once. You've got to spread that water over the day, little by little, by little, by little. And there are some herbs that are for the kidney. Psalm 104 verse 14, God said he gave herbs for the service of man. One of the best kidney herbs is parsley. Another kidney herb is celery. Now, celery and parsley are easy. You can put them in everything that you eat. You can also juice them, maybe with a bit of carrot juice. And we have seen kidneys recover when they're given the right condition. Question number 24. It's by someone whose mother has arthritis in her knee, and she also has high blood pressure. I have a lecture on YouTube. That's the acid-alkaline balance in the body. Arthritis thrives in an acid environment. And so going to a diet that is more alkaline helps to create a more alkaline environment. Also, in the arthritic knee, a grated ginger poultice can be applied to the knee. When a grated ginger poultice is applied to the knee, it pulls the inflammation out of the knee. I'm warning you, the skin can get quite warm. That's an indication of the inflammation being pulled out of the knee. Now, that knee needs exercise, but certainly not weight-bearing exercise while it is a little inflamed. So the best exercise is swimming or exercise bike or trampoline or a little rebounder. There's no jarring when you are exercising on those devices or swimming. High blood pressure if you Google my name and heart health, you will hear a whole presentation on how you can conquer high blood pressure. Number 25, natural medicine for sickle cell anemia. I have dialogued with a few people with sickle cell anemia, and they have found when they implement those 8 laws of health, when they start to go to a plant-based diet, eliminate all the stimulants, drinking more water, their sickle cell anemia certainly improves. Question number 26 was a comment, I guess, asking a question on is it right to do business meetings on Sabbath? Well, ideally, you don't do business meetings on Sabbath because Sabbath basically is God's holy day and a day of rest. But I also understand that sometimes when you've got a church where people have come from many, many different districts and it's very hard for them to get together, sometimes they might do a meeting on the Sabbath. One has to be realistic. Ideally not, but I certainly understand in some circumstances it might be the only time they can get together. So you make it as light as possible because ideally business is discussed before or after Sabbath. Question number 27, is COVID the first sign of the mark of the beast? I don't think so. I think that something is certainly happening on the planet. When does prophecy say it will come? Now we are told, if you look at Bible prophecy and read the last chapters of the Great Controversy, that enforcing Sunday worship, she refers to as the mark of the beast. Now we're also told in prophecy, especially in Revelation chapter 18, verse 22, that her merchants were the great men of the earth that have deceived all nations by her pharmakia. It says sorcery, but the Greek word is from pharmakia. So we also know that nations are being deceived by the pharmaceutical company. People are being deceived today into believing that they need to take the COVID vaccine, and it is not true. This year, there's already been 4,000 deaths in the US to the vaccine, already 6,000 deaths in Europe to the COVID vaccine. The COVID vaccine is not safe, and God does not want us to put anything into the body that will fight. Certainly divide nations, divide churches. But in the testimony of Tanzania, where the president, while he was alive, said, we will not lock down, we will not mask, because he believed that it was not true. And Tanzania didn't suffer the economic devastation that countries have. You've also got Sweden, which also refused to lock down. There's been no more deaths in 2020 to COVID than usually is to the flu. So I believe that there was an overreaction to this COVID, that it is not the disaster that we're told it is. In fact, the figures show that 98.8% of people that get COVID recover. So the question is, why are they vaccinating people against something that 98.8% of people recover from? It makes no sense. Question number 28, what can you do for sinusitis? Sinusitis is usually develops over many years because of an allergy. And that allergy can be because of mold, it can be because of breathing in chemicals, or it can be an allergy to food. And the foods that can cause sinusitis are building up in the eustachian tubes over many years. This building up of mucus and oats, peanuts, dairy, and refined sugar. When those foods are eliminated, the sinusitis can clear. But it can take at least 2 months. Once those foods are ceased, it can take at least 2 months before the sinuses can become clear. To help clear the sinuses out, a little salt water can be sniffed up in the the sinuses, that does help to clear. What are some natural methods for family planning? There are some very simple methods that can be used for family planning. Sex is two-part, conception should be two-part, and I believe the woman's part is to know when she's ovulating. Her body will signs. So the first sign is that checking her temperature before she gets out of bed every morning and monitors it. And she will find that it will go up and down like this, and then when she begins to ovulate, it'll drop and go up onto a higher plane. So that is her first sign that she has begun to ovulate. The second sign is that her vaginal mucus will change. It is usually thick and white. When she begins to ovulate, it is clear and stringy. The third sign is that her cervix changes. I suggest a lady test her cervix every day. She's got nothing to compare it against at first, but as the weeks and the months go by, she starts to see changes. When she is ovulating, the cervix comes up a little tighter, the mucus plug is released. So those three signs all come together to show a lady when she is ovulating. And they usually come together in the third week out of the 4 weeks of the cycle. Now, the man's role is to either master the art of withdrawal or use a condom when she is ovulating. And again, that's usually around the third week. My daughter and son-in-law Matthew they were married for nearly 4 years before their first baby came by using this natural method of family planning. What can one do for retina detachment? It's important to find out why the retina was detached. We had a lady recently who had retina detachment, and she was opening a bottle of wine and the cork went off too fast straight into her eye. She said the eye recovered, but 10 years later, it started to detach. She said about every 5 years, she has to go and have it reattached. So she will never be managing that because of damage that was done to the eye. And so it is usually the case with retina detachment that there has been some sort of damage that has caused that. So it is very difficult to be able to treat that naturally. What can be done for vitiligo? I've had a few people come with vitiligo. These are the white patches on the skin. Sometimes it can be chemical exposure and sometimes it can be mold exposure. So changing the diet can certainly help with the mold exposure and also getting right away from any mold. The chemical exposure, please check that you have no exposure to chemicals. I also heard of a young man who totally conquered his vitiligo by eliminating certain foods, and the certain foods were wheat, dairy, oats, refined sugar, and peanuts. Again, it can take at least 2 months to see a result once they have been eliminated. How to make a cane poultice. Well, a cane poultice you can use for the bottom of the feet if the person has peripheral neuropathy, meaning no feeling in their feet. And you lay down a piece of plastic and then a couple of layers of kitchen paper about the size of the foot, and then very lightly sprinkle a little oil on that, and then sprinkle about half a teaspoon of cayenne pepper over that. The oil causes the cayenne pepper to stick to the cloth. You would do 2 of those for 2 feet, and then the foot goes straight onto the cayenne pepper, and then you can put a sock on, and that can be worn all night. I have found by morning the person starts to have a little feeling in their feet, and if they have cold feet, the feet begin to get warm. But you can watch my poultice demonstration and I show how to make it there. The question number 33 is, how can you heal schizophrenia? It can be healed, often because of previous damage. The drugs do not heal it, they just help to manage it. If a person is on medication for schizophrenia, it is important that they implement the true remedies. And you know, the true remedies are making sure they get fresh air, sunshine every day, stop all stimulants, going to bed early. Going to bed early has a remarkable regenerating effect on the mind. Certainly limit technology exposure. Exercise every day. And also a proper diet. The proper diet is a plant-based diet. Also drinking adequate water, 8 glasses at least a day. And trusting God, claiming God's promises that He has promised to heal us when we give the body the right conditions. Is it safe to supplement with multivitamins? I think one has to be cautious with multivitamins because the pharmaceutical companies, they make a lot of drugs and they also make vitamins and minerals. So where did those vitamin minerals come from? The best vitamin minerals are found in your fresh fruits and vegetables. If you have a juicer, you can make a carrot, celery, and apple juice. That's 80% carrot, 10% apple, 10% celery. It's called the vegetarian's milk. That's one of the best tonics that you can take regarding vitamin and mineral supplements. Are nutrient supplements necessary? I don't take nutrient supplements, but because we have a large vegetable garden, I have the opportunity to eat organic food, and that is very high in nutrients. So that's my last question. I understand that a few questions have come in, so we might start taking those.
Thank you, Sister Barbara, for taking us through the questions that were shared with you. So I will read some of the questions that have been sent in on the chat, and there are also some other questions that came in via the link. So I'll start with the first question on the chat here. It says, can a weak lower esophageal sphincter be strengthened? Okay,
so this is the weak sphincter going into the stomach, I presume, sometimes called the esophageal sphincter, sometimes called the cardiac sphincter because it's nearest to the heart. It certainly can be. It is a muscle. And when the muscle is tight, it opens. When the muscle is relaxed, it's closed. And what helps to relax it is magnesium. So taking magnesium helps to close that sphincter. It's also important to chew very, very well and only eat at meal times and only drink water between meals times. And it's also important the main meals at breakfast and lunch, and if anything is eaten at night, it should be very, very light, maybe a bowl of soup.
Okay, thank you. The next question is on do pregnant women have to take supplements? I think you already addressed that.
I didn't take supplements in my pregnancies, but it is important to eat very well and eat organic foods.
Sure. The next question is, when using castor oil for endometriosis, does the woman have to wear the castor oil pack the whole day?
She can't overdo it. And so as long as possible, some people choose to wear it overnight. Some people choose to wear it throughout the day. So my suggestion is for at least 5 hours a day, more if possible.
The next one is fermented food healthy?
There's a difference between fermented food and cultured food. Cultured food produces Lactobacillus acidophilus, so eating that food helps to maintain and restore the healthy flora in the gut. So these foods are sauerkraut, miso, tempeh, and yogurt. You can make very nice yogurt on coconut milk or almond milk or organic soy milk. Also kefir, those little sponge type things that you can put in milk to produce the cultured foods. Also, the sourdough bread is a cultured food. But when the cultured foods are allowed to sit too long, they can begin to ferment. And when they start to ferment, they produce alcohol. And we do not want that.
Thank you. The next one, someone is asking, is it normal to lose weight drastically, considering I don't do exercise and I'm not under any medication?
Okay, so I guess it depends how much weight is lost and depends on whether losing weight is a good thing or not a good thing. You know, traditionally people have always been on the thin side, and it's far healthier to be a little underweight than overweight. Overweight compounds many problems. So if the person's losing weight and they're a little concerned that they need to have a look at what they're eating. Are they eating enough food? Are they eating nourishing food, organic food? Are they having good proteins? And that's in your legumes. We should be eating legumes every day. That's your lentils, chickpeas, lima beans, black-eyed beans. Are they eating a little nuts and seeds with every meal? So one would investigate that.
Okay. Someone is asking for a remedy for fibroids.
Okay, we did touch on that, but I'll touch on it again. Fibroids can be reduced by wearing castor oil compresses, but the reason the fibroids grew is because of a hormonal imbalance. So it's important to watch my lecture on YouTube on hormones, and there you will discover what throws the hormones out and how you can rebalance the hormones.
Okay. Someone is asking, I suffer from hyperthyroidism, and despite my exercising 3 to 4 times a week, weight loss remains a problem for me. I also have hiatus hernia, which gives me problems with reflux. What would you recommend for my diet and any other improvements to help me enjoy quality of life and wellness?
Okay. Sometimes I am plugged in, my battery's low, but I'm plugged in. I'm hoping that the power can maintain it. With hypothyroidism, that's an underactive thyroid gland. The exercise is very, very important, but also lightly is important. A great way to lose weight is to eliminate as much as possible most of the carbohydrates. So you eat some fruits, lots of vegetables, and legumes. Eat the legumes every meal. A little bit of rice, but not a lot of rice, nuts and seeds. And the exercise can certainly stimulate the thyroid gland. But some people who are on the pill in their teens are now, which is causing a hormonal imbalance, find that is affecting the thyroid, because the imbalance is high estrogen, and high estrogen opposes thyroid function. So there can be a hormone factor there. So this lady can watch my lecture on hormones, and she will find out how to balance the hormones there. The hiatus hernia, very important not to eat at night. So if anything is eaten at night, just a bowl of soup. So main meal should be taken at breakfast, then a 5-hour break, and then lunch. And something like aloe vera before the meals, and also aloe vera before you go to bed at night. Taking aloe vera before you go to bed at night, it coats and soothes that hiatus hernia, and it helps it to heal.
Right. How do you treat breast lumps or growths using alternative treatment?
Sorry, say that again.
How do you treat breast lumps or growths using alternative treatments?
Okay, to do that, one of the reasons the lumps have developed in the breast is because of a hormonal imbalance. So Watching the hormone lecture will help to understand why these lumps are developing and what can be done to balance the hormones. Castor oil compresses. Castor oil penetrates deeper than any other oil. So it not only can break up fibroids, cysts on the ovaries, it can break up the lumps in the breast. Consistency is the key. It must be done every day, every day.
Which herbs can one use to eliminate or reduce Bartholin's cyst?
The castor oil compress. The castor oil compress will do that, will help to break down that cyst.
Another is, so does it mean mushroom is good?
Mushrooms can be, they're high in B12 because they're grown in the earth. And remember that the B12 is a bacteria. But if someone has a yeast presence in their body or cancer, I would not advise they have mushrooms because of the link between cancer and fungus.
Okay. What is the remedy for acne or pimples on the face for a mature lady?
Is that acne on the face, did you say?
Yeah.
Yeah, it usually comes around puberty, which means it's hormones. So very important to let the skin have sunshine and fresh air, and also to check the diet, that there's no refined sugar and they're eating a plant-based diet. And they can also watch my lecture on YouTube on hormones, how to balance the hormones.
What can I do to stop my migraines? I've had them since I was 8 years old. I have spotted a few triggers from dairy, flashing lights, loud environments, strenuous sports, as well. I'm
sorry, can you repeat that question?
The question is, what can I do to stop my migraines? I've had them since I was 8 years old, and I've spotted a few triggers from dairy, flashing lights, loud environments, strenuous sports, as well as stress. I take Nurofen, Migraleave, or Buscopan for the pain.
Yes, that's very difficult when the migraines are like that. There can be a few causes of migraines. Migraines can be caused because of a hormonal imbalance. They can also be caused because of maybe the person had an accident when they were young and they put their occipital a little bit out from their spine. So I don't know if the person's ever been to a chiropractor. Sometimes they can realign the spine. It's best to go to a chiropractor or an osteopath. They are able to manipulate the spine, get it in the right angle. Sometimes migraines can be from allergies, but I feel for the person because it's incredibly debilitating.
Okay. The other question I'll combine, it's talking about use of microwaves for warming food, and then there's the use of aluminum utensils, and there's also detox for heavy metals.
Okay, the microwaves were banned in Russia in 1976 because they're so dangerous. So I do not advise using a microwave. It changes the structure of the food. So when the food is in the body does not recognize it. And we are dealing with enough environmental poisons without adding it by eating microwave food. And the other question was aluminium. Aluminium has been linked with Alzheimer's. It is a metal that is a neurotoxin to the brain. So ideally, you keep away from all aluminium utensils. You're almost better to use your fingers than better to use your fingers rather than use aluminium to eat with.
Uh,
What was the
is
third?
there? Oh, sorry. The third one was detox. What detox would you recommend?
Detox against heavy metals. Yep.
Yes.
Fresh coriander or cilantro, sometimes it's called, is a metal chelator. So taking fresh coriander every day helps to chelate the metals in the body and get them out of the body. So again, that's a dark green leafy vegetable. But little when the body's given the right conditions and the person's having enough fruits and vegetables, legumes, nuts, seeds every day, good fats, then the body naturally will detoxify.
Okay. Can type 1 diabetes be reversed?
I have seen it reverse. That person can put my name into YouTube, and I think the title is called Decoding Diabetes, and they can see the basic principles there to be able to conquer diabetes.
All right. I'm not able to sleep by 9 p.m. as recommended, even if I try. What is wrong with me?
Sorry, just start that again.
I'm not able to sleep by 9 p.m. as recommended, even if I try. What is wrong with me?
Nothing's wrong with you. You've just got into a bad habit and you can rewire your brain. So my suggestion is go to bed by 9 every single night, and eventually your body will get the message that this is bedtime. Maybe have a soft light and read for a while. But if you do that every night, you can get your body into the habit of going to bed by 9 o'clock.
Okay. The other question is there such a thing as good and bad food combinations?
The only foods that don't go well together are fruit and vegetables. So grains and legumes, nuts and seeds go well with fruit. Grains, legumes, nuts and seeds go well with vegetables. But the only combination that doesn't really sit very well is combining fruit and vegetables. So what we do is we have fruit at one meal and vegetables at another meal. But there is one group of fruits that is savoury, and it can go with fruit and vegetables. So that's tomato, cucumber, avocado, squash, zucchini, pumpkin. The classification of a fruit is that it has its seed in itself. So all of those have a seed in it, but they are not sweet. They are the savoury fruits that really can go either way.
Okay. What is the difference between omega-3 obtained from fish and that obtained from plant-based sources?
When it is obtained from fish, you see the most environmental poisons are fat soluble, and the omega-3 is a fat. So most fish sources of omega-3 also have some environmental poisons in them. So you're far superior to do the plant-based omega-3, highest source being flaxseed, second highest source being the chia seed.
Okay. What kind of food and remedy would you recommend for a person with lupus, which affects the kidneys?
Okay. The best guide is your body's response. So it's important to implement the true remedies, which are the 8 laws of health. But regarding water drinking, they have to drink little by little by little, never drink a whole lot at once. Go to the plant-based diet, eliminate the known allergen foods, and it is quite possible that you will find that your lupus will improve.
What is the natural remedy for eye cataracts?
Castor oil. So a drop of castor oil over the eyelid and lashes, at least once a day, twice if possible. That castor oil can penetrate and help to break up that cataract. Much depends on how advanced the cataract is. and also how diligent the person is at the application of the castor oil.
Okay. Which of the essential oils is multi-purpose and can be used to temporarily deal with various problems?
Aha, so every oil has a slightly different property. So your antimicrobial and antifungal essential oils are your oregano, your thyme, and your tea tree oils. Eucalyptus oil, of course, that's a very popular one in Australia and has been used for a long time. That's just a little bit milder. Peppermint essential oil is very good for digestion and also clearing the airways. So as you can see, they're all slightly different.
Okay, I'll combine two questions. One is about the best way to naturally clean teeth or teeth whitening. And the other one is about mercury. Someone asks, now that mercury is harmful and I already have mercury fillings, what options do I have?
Ideally, you find a dentist who's aware of the danger. We call them biological dentists, and can replace the mercury fillings. Ideally, when they replace them, they put a dam in your mouth so that as they drill, you're not taking any of that mercury. So it's important that it be extracted properly. That's the mercury. What was the other question?
Teeth whitening.
Teeth whitening.
Yes.
One of the best things to clean the teeth, there are two powders you can use. You can even combine these two powders. One is charcoal. That black charcoal makes nice white teeth. You can just wet your toothbrush and dip it into the charcoal powder, or sodium bicarbonate. Sodium bicarbonate, it's very effective at teeth cleaning.
Okay. We have a few more minutes, so I'll just summarize. I'll ask a few more questions before we close. How long should one wait to conceive if they've been on antibiotics and medication for about 3 months?
Yeah, 3 months is 3 months at least. Yeah. And that's where the cultured foods are important to help replace the gut flora that the medications kill off.
How can I gain healthy weight?
By making sure that you chew your food very well, by making sure that you've got protein every meal. So there's your legumes and your nuts and your seeds. That's the best proteins are the plant-based proteins, and they help to rebuild the body.
Okay. Should nuts be avoided for one with GERD, GERD?
Should nuts be avoided?
Yes.
Not necessarily. I think peanuts should be avoided, but as long as the person chews the nut till it's a cream. Chewing does much to help digestion.
How can I manage umbilical hernia?
With a hernia, it's very difficult to heal it without surgery because it's really the muscle has come apart. And every time you cough, it goes apart. Every time you strain, it goes apart. But when it's stitched together, that will hold it in place. But some people live with umbilical hernias for many years with no, and it doesn't harm them. The muscles must be strong, so it's important to strengthen the muscles and yet not irritate the hernia.
Okay, so I'll close it after asking 3 more questions. The first one is treatment for schizophrenia. and the other one is on gluten sensitivity.
Okay, well, the treatment for schizophrenia, I think we've answered that question about 3 times. It's usually damage, often from recreational drugs, and it's not easy to conquer it, but it can be conquered. The true remedies have to be implemented: going to bed early, reducing technology, no stimulants, drinking adequate water, lots of exercise, plant-based diet. All of those can come together to help heal the situation. And often when that is all established, sometimes the medication can be eased off. But it's important to establish everything else first. What can someone do for gluten sensitivity? That's a really easy one. No gluten. No gluten at all. It might take a year, but there's so many other things that you can eat. You know, there's rice, there's millet, there's buckwheat, there's so many grains. Just keep right away from gluten.
Okay. Are there natural sources of iron?
No, the only hemine is from animal and non-hemine is from plant. The problem isn't so much the non-heme iron, it's having enough hydrochloric acid to release the iron from the food. That's where the main problem comes with anemia. But the blood is strengthened by the dark green vegetables. So your leafy vegetables, also your beetroots and your dark berries and your dark legumes like your kidney beans and black turtle beans, all those dark green and dark red coloured fruits and vegetables help to build the blood.
The last question, how do you manage or treat premenstrual dysphoric disorder?
By balancing the hormones, and if the person that asked that question were to watch my hormone presentation on YouTube, they would discover how to balance the hormones. I actually think I have one more presentation with you, don't I? And that's on the 18th. And I'll be talking about hormones at that presentation. I think that's next Friday, isn't it?
Yeah,
is that right?
Be.
Yep.
Yes. Thank you very much, Sister Barbara, for taking your time to answer the numerous questions.
Yes.
We really appreciate it. And we are looking forward to the next session. I also want to thank everybody who joined in the Zoom meeting and for sending in questions. I hope you have all been blessed. So I will ask Sister Barbara to close the session for us with a word of prayer, if you don't mind.
Sure. Father in heaven, thank you so much for this amazing body that you've given us and its inbuilt ability to heal itself. Thank you also for the great sacrifice that was made in Jesus. Thank you for the herbs and the water treatments that you have supplied that we can bring about healing in the body. Father, I pray that you will bless every head bowed. You know us all intimately, personally. You know our journey. You know our aches and pains. And I pray that you will send the Spirit of truth, that you will guide each one of us into all truth. And I pray this in the name of Jesus. Amen.
Thank you very much. So I'd like to thank you all once again for joining. We have tried as much as possible to forward the questions and present all the questions that were shared with us. And we will have another session. I think this will be the final session, which will be on the 18th of June. And you will, Sister Barbara, please confirm the topic. It will be on women's health or?
Yes, women's health. Yep.
Women's health, that's right. And
I'd like also to I'd like to add that it's important for the men to come because every man was born of a woman. And it helps them to understand too.
Yes, that's very important. I hope the men are listening that you must
Yeah.
come and attend. And this will be on the 18th of June from 7 to 8 p.m. And you're most welcome. So I will hand over the program to Andy. If you have any comments, please.
Okay. Thank you.
Thanks, Barbara. Thank you, Albert, and thank you everyone for attending. I think the time is far much spent. I just want to dismiss everyone. Have a good evening. Have a good day, Barbara, where you are. And by God's grace, we will see one another on
Yes.
Friday. Take care.
Thank you. Thank you.